quite a lot of energy this evening, just shooting out of me for the last 15 minutes of the Woe Pony podcast live at Riverside Radio in Battersea, London, UK, the world, the universe, full stop. Thank you for joining me tonight. This week's topic of the week is travel. I found goofy, silly, funny, weird stories on the internet that I want to share with you. Shall we get cracking with a few more? We've got about 15 minutes left of the show for me to entertain you. On to the first story, part 2 of travel. In 2016, after a newbie traveller was asked to put his bag through the scanner, he instead proceeded to crawl into the X-ray belt, lay down and go through it himself. When he arrived on the other side, a security guard was there to greet him with his head in his hands. Well, I should think so. Can you imagine that? Someone's at the door trying to sneak in. What do you want? Yes, of course I'm live. What else would I be doing? Never mind, that was a fun little interim. It's a nice segue into the next story. I had a weird guest who was part of a land survey crew that would come in every week. One time she called the front desk and said, "There are bubbles in my toilet. Why are there bubbles in my toilet?" I told her they might have flushed the water pipes. She then says, "Hold on, I'm going to bring some down." Bring what down? The bubbles? Oh, I said, "Ma'am, that's really not necessary," but she was already off the line. About 5 minutes later, she comes down the elevator with a wine glass full of clear toilet water. Unacceptable. "Well, it was bubbly a minute ago," is what the lady said. I had to walk in the back and beat my head against the wall for a bit. Why? What is wrong with some people? Why would you do that? What's bubbly toilet water? What? Why would you? What? Okay, I've got too many questions and not enough time to cry about them. Next story. In September 2018, a passenger boarded a Lion Air flight in Palembang, Indonesia, headed for Jakarta. Her boarding pass listed her seat assignment as 35F. But as she moved to the back of the plane, she realised something alarming. The last row stopped at 34. After a few minutes of confusion, they discovered she'd been assigned an imaginary seat in the plane's bathroom. After taking to Facebook, obviously, to complain about her seat assignment, Lion Air's corporate office responded with a viable explanation. At the last minute, the flight's original aircraft, which had 39 rows, was swapped out for a smaller plane. Speaking of planes, can you hear that plane in the background? That better be low flying, or else we're in big trouble. Excuse me, I'm doing a podcast in here. This flight's original aircraft had 39 rows and was swapped out for a smaller plane which only had 34. They promptly assigned a new seat, one without a toilet, on the same flight, and she landed in Jakarta as scheduled. Well, banter. Okay.
Imagine that. Oh, where's my seat? Oh, okay.
Next one. Word to the wise, never try to sneak a pork pie on your flight. This lesson was learned the hard way by a guy in Manchester, England, who thought he'd bring along a pork pie purchased at the pub the night before as a mid-flight snack. Go away! I'm doing a podcast! Gosh, honestly. Right, don't take a pork pie onto the flight, kids. Much to this man's embarrassment, the pie triggered the scanner's liquid detector, leading to a truly surreal security shakedown. It must have been a very juicy pie, the man's brother told him. A pork pie triggered the scanner's liquid detector. That must have been a very juicy pie. Oh dear. Okay. Happily the man was let through with his pie intact. Oh, okay. I hope it was a good enough pork pie in the end to go through that much effort. Must have been a juicy one. Okay, on to the next one. While in the Isles of Scotland, we stayed in a bed and breakfast. It was owned by a couple. The bedrooms were extremely well done and beautiful, but on everything there were signs saying not to touch. To use the shower, you would have to ask the couple, and the internet ended at 11 p.m. The woman would also check on everyone at random times in the night. We would hear her creeping in the hallway to make sure everyone was sleeping and not doing any illegal things like using the internet.
Oh my goodness, she's like a ghost.
When we checked out, she came into our room and said that we stunk and opened the window to prove this. She demanded more money immediately. Another traveller was kicked out because the checkout time was 10 a.m. and they were forced to stand outside in a thunderstorm while their taxi came. She wouldn't even let them stay inside. Another traveller had to go get a cheque to pay for the room, and she took their bags and wouldn't give them back. But on the way out, she asked everyone if they enjoyed their stay. Oddball. Quirky, I think is the word that we're looking for there. That doesn't sound like a very nice, relaxing stay. Okay, one more. We had a guest who we called Pie Guy. He would come into the hotel without a reservation, pay in cash, and the $100 cash deposit, and the next day we would find his bathroom and bathtub full of the remains of several expensive pies. Okay. He never came to the desk for his deposit as he knew he wouldn't be getting it back. We added his name to our do not rent list, but he kept coming back and using different names. One time we found a torn up list in his room with the words pie and pants scribbled over and over again. I am uncomfortable. Pies in the bathtub. Okay, I can just imagine the scenario that this person's married and he thinks he's blowing off some steam by staying in a hotel, eating loads of pies in the bath and then leaving. Maybe it's a thing. Maybe it's a fetish sort of thing. Each to their own? I'm not sure. Okay, well that was thoroughly a disturbing way to end this week's episode, but you know, what can I say? This is the Woe Pony podcast. You don't know what is going to be coming up. Enough to make you go, Whoa Pony! If you haven't already got the title of the show, then that's exactly why it's called Woe Pony. Thank you very much for joining me this week on the podcast. I wish you well, love, laughter, feliz Dia de las Muertas, if you're listening live tonight. And please check out our social medias at Woe Pony Podcast and the YouTube channel. Sleep well, have fun. Night, mum!